This video is on language paper 2, question 4, which is the comparison question. Again, this question causes a lot of students to get really nervous and feel like they can't do it, but there's a simple, straightforward way to do it. Now it will say compare perspectives or compare attitudes. So the question will always be asking about the emotion of the character in the text. So you're looking for emotion words. You're looking at how they are feeling about something, how they are presenting something. Do they have a positive outlook about it? Do they have a negative outlook? And how does that change? Okay? So to compare perspectives, you must be able to identify the feelings, the point of view of the person speaking. Top tips. Begin with a short introductory sentence connecting to the question. So you will identify whatever the question, whatever the subject is, and you'll say how it's similar or how it's different. Then you focus on the beginning of both texts. What's the attitudes in the beginning and what words show you that? Okay, then you focus on the middle. So where do you see a shift if you saw one? And if you didn't see one because you're in a rush, pick something that shows the emotion as it's developing and then do one for the end. So again, if you're running out of time at this point, just do the beginning and the end and skip the shift. But including the shift is really important to getting those marks because there always has to be some sort of development or change that happens. So if you're going for top marks for this, last year you would have needed to get 12 out of 16. In order to get the 4, you have to get 7. The average marks, I think, was between 6 and 7. So a lot of students really lose a lot of marks on this because they overcomplicate it or they get overwhelmed. If you're, focus on the beginning and the end, as I said. So top tips, compare the beginnings connected to the question, compare the middles, compare the ends. Include evidence. Get your keywords and small phrases in to explain and zoom in on. So just like the language question, you are analyzing it in order to understand the emotion. Use comparison connectives. Similarly, likewise, on the other hand, by contrast, equally, you want to zoom in on keywords, explain connotations, because remember this is about attitudes, so that's the emotion. Consider at least one secondary interpretation. If you get to the end and you still have a minute or two, just add, on the other hand, this might also suggest. Highlight techniques and effects of these techniques. Let's look at an example. So here's an example of a question 4. For this question, you need to refer to the whole of source A together with the whole of source B. Compare how the writers convey their different attitudes to sweets. So we just need to find where it shows how they feel about sweets. Now here is stuff meant to help you. Oftentimes this just overwhelms you more, so let me define what this means. Compare the different attitudes to sweets. Okay, so basically they're just repeating that. Compare the methods. So this means keywords and techniques. And then include evidence, right? So I've already told that. Your evidence and or your techniques. So methods, by the way, includes word choice. So even if you just include keywords and explain them, you can get your marks for that. Let's look at the extracts. Okay, by this point, for source A, we've already read stuff about the pictures. So the attitudes towards sweets. We don't have anything at the beginning. We've got the leathery feet. And then the first thing we've got is the candy. So more privileged children, it's a privilege, it's a treat. Everyone bought at least one Hoadley's Violet Crumble Bar, slab of dense, dry honeycomb coated with chocolate. It was like trying to eat a china vase. Then it explains, so there's lots of description about sweets, so it's very descriptive. Okay, so I might just pick like trying to eat a china vase. liquefy, frangible, slab. So it's lots of description words, okay? So let me go to source B. So I'm going to say it's descriptive. Probably trying to make our mouths water. I don't know. The last thing a child asks is how the sweet it snaps up with such eagerness is made. Yet the manufacture of these delicacies, or should I say necessities, of the nursery is a thing worth witnessing. They used to be denounced. So here it's going to be sweets as a blessing, sweets as positive. Okay. Eager, it uses the word necessities, marvelous change, delicacies. So it's delights young taste buds. So this has a very positive outlook, even though the other one, you got the word slabs in it, so it's maybe a little bit less positive about what children are doing. Okay, so I've got more positive tone and less positive tone because look at the words that are used. It's very descriptive. Oh, the word weird, liquefy, slab, trying to eat a china vase. That's not particularly yummy. So I'm going to have, in the first one, it's descriptive but negative. The second one, it describes it as amazing. Okay, let's go down. The star lolly, outstripping even the violet and crumble bar in popularity, was undoubtedly the Jaffa. Oh, we know Jaffa cakes, don't we? Cluster bomb, about 50 globular lollies. Maybe that's a different Jaffa. Jaffa had a dark chocolate core. Oh no, bitter orange candy coat. Still does that, doesn't it? In the cross section, it looked rather like the planet Earth. So not particularly yummy. So we've got another simile that isn't that appetizing. It presented two alternative ways of being eaten. You could fondle the Jaffa on the tongue until your saliva ate its way through the casing, whereupon the taste of chocolate would invade your mouth. Invade. Bit of a violent word. Sublime, majestic inevitability. Or you could bite straight through and submit the interior of your head to a stunning explosion of flavor. Again, the use of explosion. I'm not sure how attractive that sounds, right? Sucking and biting your way through 40 or so Jaffas. You always had a few left over when the stomach could take no more. I think I could just talk about the use of violent, explosive language as it develops versus now sweets are made on a larger scale. They're much cheaper, describing them made in large factories. Cheaper. The basic style of old is also gone. The eye must now be satisfied as well as the tongue. It's true, more showy sweets were colorful. Its metallic color contained a virulent poison. Oh dear. Okay, so suddenly we're getting, even though it's great now, this is highlighting a danger. So there's a shift. Okay. The brighter the hue, the more deadly the sweet. This is going to cause us to be a bit shocked, I think. Brilliant green contained copper toxins. This is shocking facts and statistics, isn't it? So there's a second thing that we could say. So really, that's quite similar. The one is talking about explosive language, and this one is actually explosive and deadly. Okay? Let's go with one other thing. Sucking and biting your way through 40, flying through the dark, they would bounce off a child's skull with the noise of bullets hitting the bell. Oh. Okay, we've got the alliteration of bouncing and imagery of a child's skull with the noise of bullets hitting the bell. So again, we've got deadly imagery. Everyone either ate steadily or raced up and down the aisles from the toilet, or all three. The uproar was continuous, like Niagara Falls. Meanwhile, the film was unreeling in front of us. So violent and out of control, which also connects us to sweets in general, doesn't it? So the last one, there's some violence connected to sweets. Remember in this one, we read all about the girls working really hard at the end of in the factories. However poor they may be as work of arts, the sweets are most wholesome. This one changes because the last one ends on chaos. And this one ends with the word wholesome, which means healthy. This, as we've said before, was far from being the case a few years ago before Dr. Hassel turned detective officer for the good of our little ones. So sweets as a health food is how this ends. Okay, so again, if you can see the differences there, you get your marks. Highlight the way the writer is portraying the sweets, and you get your marks.